Memorial 3-Gun didn't actually begin as the Memorial 3-Gun. It started out as a local competition that my co-founder Bryce Lamelin and I started. We wanted to bring more competitors into the world of 3-Gun, so we decided to do it again a couple months later. At this point, it went from 32, 34 to actually 74 shooters. Again, everybody enjoyed it, everybody loved it, more got addicted to the sport. So at this point, we actually realized we had something, but we wanted more. I competed in the Duskin Memorial 3-Gun competition at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and from that it sparked a passion for me. The Duskin Stephen Foundation memorialize Mike Duskin every year, so I'm like, we can do the same thing. We can memorialize 7, 8, 9, as many guys as we want, and have them always remembered throughout the year. So that's why we began this, and we're growing from there. So our first annual Memorial 3-Gun competition, we had a huge setback in the beginning, actually 1 week prior to the event. Our venue was canceled. It felt like a punch to the gut. Bryce and I have put our heart and soul into this, our passion into this. We have our friends that put their time and effort into helping us set this up, and it was canceled. We were not going to let this event fail, specifically for the Gold Star family members. So we were up all night, all hours of the day, trying to figure out what we're going to do. The community actually came together on this. We could not have done this without the community. People were opening their lands to us, their homes to us, their ranges to us. So after multiple times of viewing different venues, we got a phone call. Griffin Group found out what we were doing and why we were doing it, and they asked immediately, what can we do to help? What do you need? And generously, they opened their whole entire facility to us. They dropped everything and welcomed us in with open arms. They asked what we needed and they supplied it, and they actually went above and beyond what we asked. They immediately started painting walls, painting their fences, cutting grass, making signs for us to make everybody feel welcome as they come in. They have a world-class facility as it pertains to ranges. They have 4, 5, 6 360-degree bays. They have 600-yard ranges. They have everything you can imagine that you would need to put on a match. It's more than what we could have asked for, and we could not have done this without them. And then on top of that, the owner of Griffin Group, Mike, he is prior military, so he realized what we were doing, and it affected him just as much as it affected anybody there. He wanted to help. It affected more than him. It affected his employees. They were astounded. They were amazed by what we were doing, and we're glad to be a part of it. This venue, this competition, it affects every household. It affects every military member, the family members. So not one person cannot relate to this competition just because of the wars that we've been in. So at this point, everybody is affected by it. They've known somebody they've lost. They mean more to us and to the United States than they realize, and we want to show them that. To this day, people are still talking about the competition. They remember the ranges, they remember the stages, they remember the camaraderie amongst everybody there sharing those moments. They remembered all these guys, and they got to share a little bit of part of them and get to know them without them even sadly being there, but they got to know who they were. We had Mrs. Duskin, we had Mrs. Thomas both show up. Mrs. Thomas brought her daughter, got to share the moment with her and see everybody there for her dad, for them. And I think that's what everybody appreciated about this competition. They were able to share these moments with the Gold Star families. There was a moment at this event that I don't think anybody's ever going to forget, especially if you see the pictures. Mrs. Thomas and her daughter with Chris Valley of Coast to Coast went to Sean Thomas's stage. We named all the stages after the honorees, and they went to that stage that we named after Sean. And as they walked up, they saw the stage sign of Sean Thomas for Sean Thomas. And the daughter walked right up to the sign, saw her dad on the sign and touched the sign like he was there. She then looked at her mom and said, "Mommy, everybody's here for Daddy." that is something that everybody's going to remember. It was a very heart-wrenching moment. And then Chris realized, that this is something that meant a lot to them, and he wanted her to share in it. And I'm glad she was there for that. And at that moment though, Chris was like, "Do you want to shoot some guns?" And she just looked at him and said, "Hell yeah." And they got down and shot some guns. So she was able to share in that with us, and that's what means the most to me, to Bryce, to everybody that was there. So our goal for the Memorial 3-Gun is to share these stories, share these honorees, who they were, with the community. And I'm talking the shooting community, but I'm talking every person we could reach. But having those families there, realizing that they're not alone, that their fallen loved one will never be forgotten, I'm hoping and I'm pretty sure that they walk away knowing that. Bryce and I have discussed this in length. So we decided to start a Memorial 3-Gun shooting team. By doing so, we'll get out into the community. Yes, we'll have jerseys, but it will kind of be a conversation starter. We will be able to share these stories, why we do this, what we are about, with every person we meet. So we brought on roughly 7 guys on board the shooting team. Each person is an ambassador to our event. They will be able to have that heartfelt meaning. They'll be able to express this to every person they meet in the shooting community. And our ultimate goal is to get as many people at our annual event as possible. Yes, to compete and share in the competitive shooting world experience, but most importantly, to realize who these men were, what they've sacrificed, why they sacrificed, and that to also let these loved ones know that they are not alone. In some way, these wars that we've fought, the wars we are continuing to fight, it affects every household in the United States in some way. Somebody have known somebody that they've lost, what they have sacrificed for this country. It hits home, it hits your heart. Just having the support of the shooting community, having the support of the military, friends, family. We had companies jump on board, still on board, asking, what can I do? What can we do? What's next? Bryce and I are very appreciative and could not have done it without everyone's help. Having the passion, that's what just drives this whole event. And I'm not talking about Bryce and I'm talking about every single person that wants to compete, that just wants to see that happen. To be able to honor, remember, memorialize these fallen soldiers, everything they have sacrificed for this country, we're blessed to have that, to have the support from everyone, to be able to share these fallen soldiers' stories, to know who they were when you haven't met them. It's an honor to be able to do that. And I think everybody's just anxious to see what the future holds for the Memorial 3-Gun.